Test. Oh, yeah, looks like I'm good. Okay. I'm Phil Wyman, and this is the Wild Theology podcast, where the world, the humans in it, and God are all wilder than we've been told.
That's your intro.
So, you'll get philosophy and theology and crazy stories that come from 30 years of pastoring,
Boring.
20 years of festival work,
Whatever.
and the mud and blood of wrestling with the living in the spaces angels fear to tread.
Ooh, trying to sound interesting, are we?
Oh.
Yeah, you think you got something to say?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem,
Look, I'm
dimwit.
a lot smarter than you think.
Yeah, you tied your shoes this morning.
Whatever. We're Phil Wyman, and this is Wild Theology, where you get to argue with your own ideas.
And lose.
That's the point. If you would like to support this podcast, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Phil Wyman. I'm talking with Joshua Hanson, and we're talking about Let My People Go, prison reform bill that he's dealing with. Oh, and Joshua, welcome to the Wild Theology podcast. You are now on, man.
All right. Glad to be here.
So, Joshua is down in Gadsen, Alabama at Nomad land. And he's coming up to Salem, Massachusetts on the 19th of October, a Saturday. And we're going to be wandering around from about 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in prisoner uniforms and talking about some prison reform issues. So, how did you get involved with this, man?
Well, basically what happened, I was down here in Gadsen, Alabama. They passed some laws making it illegal to be homeless. No camping, no panhandling, and
Right.
it really reignited the old activist in me. You know, I've been really an activist for Jesus, and I crashed my school bus into a church and a bunch of hippies got saved, and I just kind of been focusing on just sharing the good news. And when they passed these laws in my hometown here, it kind of just really kind of felt like I needed to step back into the ring with this. We had done a lot of actions way back, like we took on San Francisco when they were using heat-seeking helicopters to find the homeless, and then New Orleans was doing all these street sweeps, sweeping up the hippies and gutter punks,
Right.
as they were called, train kids back then.
Right.
And, you know, we really tried to battle that. And so I really started looking at, you know, our prison population. We have more people in jail per capita than any other country in the world. And we're
Right.
supposed to be land of the free. And that's not the case.
Right.
That is not the case anymore. And so, you know, we shut the mental wards down in the 80s, which a lot of them really weren't the best anyway, but still that put a lot of mentally ill on the streets. And then we have a major homeless crisis all over America right now. And unfortunately, a lot of these homeless and mentally ill, and then the other thing is our drug war, which, you know, prohibition didn't work with alcohol, and it's not working with drugs. And I feel like we really need to help people. And by throwing everyone in jail, you know, we've had enough time to look and see what we're doing is not working.
Right.
And so we're in the process of writing the Let My People Go Bill.com. Bill is actually not a person.
All right. So it's something you want to put before is it the state or the U.S. Congress?
Well, we're really wanting to try to do both. And the bill is in process of being written. And what we would like to start hosting is some debates on college campuses and really try to get people from both sides of the aisle and bring in your revolutionaries and your anarchists, whoever wants to come to the table. And, you know, say, hey, what can we do here?
Sure.
You know, I feel like we would like to see slavery stopped in the jails as well. You know, the 13th still allows for that to happen. And
right. So just parse that, describe that a little for people.
Well, basically, you know, in jail, people are making everything from license plates to Victoria's Secret's underwear for basically next to nothing. And and I feel like people getting jobs in jail is actually a good idea, but really were they able to get a fair wage?
Sure.
So they can pay restitution, they can pay child support, they can have first and last month's rent when they get out. And, you know, I think there needs to be job training in the jails. Like here in the state of Alabama, there's one drug rehab in the entire state of Alabama in the jail system.
Wow.
Now, that's ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, here you're locking all these people up for drug and alcohol problems, and you're not helping them.
Right.
And that's just, I mean, that's going on coast to coast. And the private prison industry, you know, is one of the top businesses, you know, and there's a number of them, but they're way up there on the stock market, you know, as far as...
Wow.
So it's prison for profit, and yeah, they can do it cheaper than what our government can. Our government can't do anything cheap.
Right.
So I think that was appealing. There's a lot of states that have said no, and actually New York just a few weeks ago said we're done with private prisons. We're done.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's huge. That's huge. There's really been some bipartisan stuff that's really starting to happen on prison reform right now. I mean, there was some stuff that happened up at the White House this year where they had Democrats and conservatives, you know, really came together and have you know, so there is some traction that is starting to happen, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. When you think of for-profit prisons and that they're on the stock market, then you've got this combined tension with what has been called conscious capitalism. Mm-hmm. And within conscious capitalism, one of the primary thoughts is that the company is beholden to and has to consider the desires and wants of the owners, as it were, of the company, the stockholders. So you're then left with the question of how conscious is conscious capitalism if its consciousness is only toward the raising of its value for the benefit of the owners, the contributors to it through the stock market. It becomes all about the bottom dollar. And a good prisoner, you probably don't want to get rid of him because he's worth a lot.
Well, and see, the sad thing about it is, like out in California, I think they're paying like $75,000. Actually, we are, taxpayers, are paying $75,000 a year to house one prisoner.
Wow.
You know, people are saying, you know what, we could put these guys in Harvard for what we're spending to house one guy. Right. Now, other areas in the country, it's probably more like $35,000, you know, so it's not as, but California, it's just, you know, real estate's pretty expensive out there, I guess. But then you mix that up and you tie it in.
Depends on where you put it in California.
Yeah.
I can take you to places where it's nothing.
Yeah, if you go out to, what's the name of that place?
Slab City.
Slab City.
But that whole region around there is just barren desert, and that is where you find a lot of those prisons. It's not like they're putting the prisons on the beach.
No, that's true.
You know, so something else is going on.
Well, see, the other thing, there's a lot of craziness going on, because, see, these guys also lobby and stuff a lot of money in politicians' pockets to pass more laws that lock up more people. And then these guys get out, they've got these crazy fines. They can't make it to their piss test. They can't pay their fines. No one will hire them. So what we would like to try to see, which it was pretty awesome here in Gadsen, the local chamber came together and really tried to educate this area, saying, hey, you know what? Actually, if you hire a felon, you get tax credits. They'll bond the people. So they've really made a big incentive, but a lot of the big corporations say, hey, you got 7 years or something, you got to be, so you got a guy that gets out, he's got no transportation, can't get a job, and then here, oh, it's illegal to be homeless, oh, and you can't beg. Here, but you got the Masons out there in the street with begging for money, and the fire department with their fire boots out in the middle of the street. Right. And, so, I mean, we have a serious situation, here in the United States, and I feel like it's really going to take people laying down, hey, you might be for or against Trump, or you might be Democrat, you might be liberal, but if we could actually just drop all that stuff and say, let's just focus on some issues, and let's see what we can do, because we really do need to change laws. The drug war needs to stop. I mean, because if we don't change the laws, everyone's just enforcing these laws that we've created, and sadly, it's really hard to change the laws once they're put on the books.
And these laws, these laws aren't. It's not like these things are new. The Roman Empire had laws against homeless people as well. And so a lot of the people in the early church who went out into the desert became suspect because of that. So now these people are going out into the desert to pray, to seek God, to create these monastic communities. And then some of the emperors made it illegal for them to do that. So then these guys would be driven back into the towns, and then a couple of the other emperors said, we don't even want these guys around. Get out of here. And that's the tension. It's the same thing that's going on in places like L.A., where you and I can't go down into the park and feed the homeless. That's illegal for us to do.
I know. It's really just sad. I just saw an article, too, that, some down in Tampa, there were some women that they were trying to say you can't feed, and they're like, you know what, we're going to, should we obey God or obey man? And so there is a time when you got to step up to the plate. And what's going on really all over the country is, like we have some friends in Denver that really took on the city of Denver. And they ended up losing that battle. There was a bunch of real estate agents and people that put like a multi-million-dollar campaign right before the vote. I think they even said they spent more money on this campaign than maybe the mayor even spent on his. And, because really, a lot of these towns, if you got a bunch of homeless people there, it causes your property value to go down.
Right.
And so, like, we've had friends in Phoenix, they got kicked out. They were trying to kick the homeless out of the area, and they were helping the homeless, and they're driving property value down. We had some friends in Tampa, homeless helping homeless, and they were trying to hand out their newspaper downtown, and they were selling these newspapers to help the homeless. That's how they could make some money, is selling these papers. Well, they tried to kick them out of there. And, they filed a class action against the city, and they actually won, which is pretty amazing. Another thing that, just to give some kind of victories, we took on, there was a sheriff here in Alabama, and he was kind of known as the $1 million sheriff. In the state of Alabama, it was legal for the sheriffs to keep all the leftover prison food money.
Wow. So
the more people the sheriff locked up and the less he fed them, the more money he made. And, it got out that he bought this $750,000 house on the beach with all the leftover prison food money. And now that's not legal anymore in the state of Alabama. Right. Alabama.com did a huge deal on this whole thing, and he ended up losing the sheriff, you know, which was pretty amazing, which I actually just went down to this to the new sheriff, Sheriff Horton. We're really praying this happens, but a big revival just broke out in this jail here, where 50 people just got saved and baptized. There was a ministry that came in. So what we're trying to do is doing an event out in front of the jail and see if we can get these guys, and men and women that really got touched by the Holy Spirit, where they can come out and share what God's doing in there. Because in reality, if you got Jesus in your heart, you can be freer than some people out here that are free walking around. And to me, that sounds like something Jesus would do.
Yeah.
Hey, let's start a revival in jail here. That could actually touch this area. And what if the body of Christ and people came together and said, hey, let's start some transitional houses so when people re-enter back in, they've got more of a safety net. And let's try to get some businesses that will hire these people. Let's try to change some laws that keep these people from going back in and lower the recidivism rate. And there's stuff is happening in L.A. They just shut down a prison, a $4.3 billion prison in L.A., which was huge. And, you know, people came together and they said, enough. We've got to get... you think I'm getting ready to go to Boston. You think of the Tea Party. Look how pissed they got off over tea. A revolution over tea, and look at us now. I mean, so yeah, I'm excited, you know, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff happening. And you know, if you're listening to this and you're on a college campus and you would like to host, you know, a debate on your campus, and you know, we can really try to see what we can do on a state, city, and even a national level. But yeah.
Oh, that's so good. So, let me do a couple things. I'll have you do this now, and then I'll repeat it in a little bit. So, how do people contact you?
So if you want to get in touch with us, you could go to the letmypeoplegobill.com, and there's some ways to connect with us on there. There's also some stuff about this we're doing at Nomad Road Dog is on there as well, which we're trying to put some stuff together that help out travelers. And so there is a couple things that will eventually get broken up into two websites. But if you do letmypeoplegobill.com, that's the best way to get a hold of me if you're interested in this.
Okay, so that's letmypeoplegobill.com and Joshua Hanson. Yeah, and the Nomad Road Dog, that is that's dear to my heart too, because that's basically what I've been the last 2 years. Went from pastoring churches the previous 32 years, and I've been on the road. It's been a little more than 2 years, but it's pretty much full time. And a good portion of that is with the nomadic community. So, some of it here in the United States, with the kids, the dirty kids, the hippies, the rubber tramps that are in vans and motorhomes across the Southwest. And then when I'm in the UK, I've been spending time with, they used to call it the New Age hippies in the UK. There's not really a name for them now, but it's a group of travelers that are pretty much UK hippies. Don't look a lot like American hippies. Some similarities, but perhaps more of what you might call part of an occult and culture. which there's a great book about that by Christopher Partridge, it's called, this would be a good read. You would love it. It's called The Re-Enchantment of the West. And it covers how people are kind of getting into what he's called a no culture. And I've seen that in the UK. And then this time I met the King of the Gypsies, or he's called the Sheriff Ram, who runs the Appleby Horse Fair. So it's made it really dear to my heart, this whole thing about nomadism, and it ties very directly into people who live illegal lifestyles, because there's something about being a nomad that almost forces you into the illegal. You can't have a driver's license, a bank account, or insurance without a physical address.
Yeah, and a lot of these people that are traveling and nomadic, they get harassed a lot. And like in LA, they passed laws out there, you can't live in your vehicle anymore. I also wanted to touch in on the costuming a little bit. Yeah. So with this event that we're going to be doing there in Salem, with this flash mob and having, we're going to have a bunch of prison uniforms. We got some black and whites and orange jumpsuits, and we're going to have a little dance party and really connecting. And so we also staff a bunch of events around the country, and we're going to start doing these flash mobs at these big events. And some other things we're really wanting to do is start cleaning. I do a lot of event cleaning, but we want to start cleaning up cities. So like after the event, we're going to go hit cities and, in our prison uniforms and pick up trash. So our activism is picking up trash.
Right.
And we want to help cities get clean. We want to help people get clean. And we also want to see some politics cleaned up as well. I think they need a whole lot of cleaning there. But,
wrong people might be in jail.
And I mean, how do you fight that activism, with a broom and a dustpan? It's like, how can you get mad at that? So it's like, so it's more than just like running around in a prison uniform making a statement, which it does. And so I will say this, I feel pretty free in my prison uniform. And if you're starving for attention, but it's an amazing way to meet people and share, when you're in costuming. So I really love doing stuff in costumes. We did some stuff to stop sex trafficking at the Super Bowl, and we all dressed up like superheroes at the Super Bowl, and it was such an amazing way to make a statement, with costume. And so, people want to take your picture, and then you're able to share with them what you're doing. And so, if we can, gather some people together that would like to make a difference, it's kind of a fun way to do it. So, hey, encouraging you, you can go buy a prison uniform anywhere. Not anywhere, but at a lot of costuming shops, party shops, they have them. And they're pretty cheap. You just write, "Let my people go" bill on the back. Wear it to school. Wear it to high school. Wear it to your college. People will be like, what are you wearing? We were just up at Sturgis.
Right.
For about 12 days and just ran around.
Sturgis, the big biker gathering in North Dakota, right?
Yeah, there's about, I think, 700,000 bikers. And we thought that, a lot of these people might have some connections in the prison. So what we would really like to see happen is a nationwide prison strike. What if the prison guards and the prisoners went on strike? Because in a lot of these places, they ain't paying the prison guards squat.
Right.
And if the prisoner says, we're going to quit working, and then what if everyone quit buying all their products?
Yeah.
That's not going to be good on the stock market. That's going to drive. But what if they had to start really paying these prisoners a fair wage? Yeah. And Martin Luther King, they just, they quit riding the bus. Right. So I feel like sometimes we have to do some actions. We were actually talking earlier too about that movie that ended slavery. What was the name of that movie again? I'm forgetting the name of it.
That was the one with Set in England, right?
Yeah, it was the song.
Amazing Grace, wasn't it?
Huh?
Was it Amazing Grace? Yeah.
Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
And there was one line in there that really kind of tied it together. He was kind of in a quandary. Should I be a priest? You know, I want to be a man of God.
Right, and that was
but
the movie
I also
about
want to be a politician.
Right?
Huh?
The movie about Wilberforce?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, you know, he was really in this quandary, and the guy said, I'm here to say you can do both.
Yeah.
And so we're talking, you know, politics, we're talking religion, you know, we're talking about everything you're not supposed to be talking about.
Right.
But I feel like if we can, you know, really, hey, let's do some roundtable meetings, let's come together.
Yeah.
Let's do some brainstorming, some heartstorming, and just really see some change in our culture. But it's going to take some people standing up, and so that's what we're wanting to do.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I'm hoping we'll get a decent crowd out on October 19th, Saturday, October 19th, 1 o'clock. We're meeting at Wesley Methodist Church here in Salem. And then we're going to get ourselves dressed up in costuming, and we're going to make a prophetic statement with our costuming, both politically and spiritually. And man, I'm really excited to coming up, Joshua.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I mean, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna be able to really connect. I'm looking forward to that group coming in. Global is Global still going to be coming that weekend?
Yeah, the global people who will be here.
Global Awakening.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a good time. But yeah, definitely check out our website, letmypeoplegobuild.com, and hopefully we'll see you out there on the front lines.
Okay. Love you, bro. Thank you.
Hey, I love you too.
Okay. I will see you next week. Okay. Catch you later.
Amen.
Thank you to my patrons who help make these missional travels and these podcasts possible. Without you, I couldn't do it. God bless. If you'd like to support this project, you can do so here on Patreon for as little as $1 a release. And at the most, that's $4 a month.
Why on earth would anybody want to support us?
Well, I think we're pretty cool, and maybe some people believe in what we're doing.
Oh, come on, you believe that?
Yeah.
Don't you ever think you're just a little too weird for the average person?
Yeah, sometimes.